We need education for our tech managers to know how to use it, how to collect it, and make it mean something so we can make smart decisions.
Sometimes all that data is not for us in the AV industry. It is for the head of your AV team or your site team to navigate corporate bureaucracy. The following statement may or may not be based in reality, but when you're dealing with a board of executives and a board of purchasing people and a board of penny pinchers, and you have to justify your existence in a ridiculously large budget, but you really need this amount of money, it's for our ability to exist in a corporate bureaucratic entity.
Straight up, man. Numbers don't lie.
I'm at number 5.
Major industry moves with M&A and partnerships. DoD and JITC, what they mean for you and manufacturers. Plus, our panel looks at shifts in security, AI, and meeting room standardization. All that and more. Next on AV Week. This is AV Week, episode 744, recorded Friday, November 21st, 2025. Board of Penny Pinchers. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of the biggest news and stories in the AV and the IT world. My name is Tim Albright. We have M&A, micro LED market, and Microsoft Ignite announcements. Let's get into it. Our top story, VTech has announced the acquisition of DataPath Limited, a long-established UK-based manufacturer known for video wall controllers and image processing systems. Now, DataPath will operate as a wholly owned subsidiary while maintaining its leadership team and product lines. VTech says the move strengthens its position in enterprise video, control rooms, broadcast, and government applications by combining DataPath's display wall technologies with VTech's IPTV streaming and video compression platforms. Companies noted that customers should expect continuity in products and support with future integration opportunities across streaming, monitoring, and large-scale visualization solutions. At Microsoft Ignite this week, the company announced Agent 365, Sales Development Agent, as well as Workforce Insights, People, and Learning Agents. Additionally, HP and Microsoft have announced a deeper collaboration aimed at advancing hybrid work solutions across Windows devices and meeting room systems. The announcements emphasized tighter integration between HP's PCs, peripherals, and conferencing hardware with Microsoft Teams rooms and Copilot features. HP stated that future device roadmaps will lean more heavily on AI-enabled performance, enhanced security, and centralized management for enterprise IT teams. The partnership also includes joint engineering initiatives designed to ensure improved meeting equity, clearer audio experiences, and better cross-platform management for organizations standardizing on Teams-based environments. A new industry report indicates that micro LED displays are accelerating toward mass market adoption, with manufacturers increasing capacity and reducing product line costs. The report highlights significant advancements in wafer-level bonding, repair automation, and scalable manufacturing processes. Now, these factors have historically limited micro LED due to high cost. Industry leaders expect broader commercial deployments in command centers, digital signage, and premium indoor LED applications beginning in 2026. Now, while price points remain higher than traditional LED or LCD for that matter, analysts say micro LED's brightness, lifespan, and color performance are positioning it as the next major display technology for large format professional environments. As a longtime OLED lover, that kind of makes me sad, but we'll continue. Finally, the Asian World Film Festival in Los Angeles showcased its programming inside a Samsung Onyx LED cinema auditorium. The Onyx platform delivers HDR-capable LED cinema playback, allowing the festival to screen films with higher contrast ratios and wider color gamuts than conventional projection-based systems. Organizers said the display enhanced the visual impact of both independent and international entries, noting the benefits for filmmakers presenting content in non-projector environments. Samsung continues to expand its Onyx footprint globally, with cinema LED deployments now appearing in North America, Europe, and Asia across both boutique and large format venues. That's your AV news for the week. Stick around for this week's Roundtable, where we will discuss security approval list and AV managed services. This is AV Week.
Hey listeners, it's your AV sneakerhead, Jennifer Weaver. Listen to AV Career Masterminds, where I chat all things job-related in the audio-visual industry. You can find AV Career Masterminds where you subscribe to podcasts.
Welcome back. Now we bring in our fantastic round table. First and foremost, Dawn Mead, AV Dong. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me, as usual, Tim.
Absolutely, ma'am. Also with us, my buddy and pal, Dr. Josiah Way. Welcome, sir.
Tim, it's always good to join you. Thank you again for the invite. I didn't screw it up too much last time then.
You did not. You did not. And if you're not watching the video, Joe has a plethora of AVNation awards behind him, which we'll be talking about in about 2 weeks' time. Not Joe's awards specifically, but ours. And finally, Dan Zines. Dan is from Atlas IED. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. First story comes to us from our friends over at AV Network, but quite frankly, you could probably find this on any website, including our own AVNation. Extron Nav Pro AV over IP series has been officially added to the Department of Defense Information Network approved product list. Say that 5 times fast. It's marking it as compliant for deployment on secure U.S. military and government networks. That's the important part here. Now, this certification covers both the NAV encoders, decoders, as well as Extron's associated management tools, validating them against stringent cybersecurity interoperability and performance requirements set up by the Joint Interoperability Test Command. I'm going to refer to the Joint Interoperability thingy there as JITC, because 90% of everybody else does too. So from here on out, when I say JITC, understand I've already defined it. That's from my buddy Bradford Ben. The DoD Information Network approved product list includes Crestron, Dell, Google, G&D, Haivision, Harman, Microsoft, NEC, Samsung. You can check it out. I'll give Mitchell the link so you can look up your favorite manufacturer there. Dawn, I'm going to start with this with you. Not for nothing. Dawn has recently exited a tenure in a let's say highly classified area. So how important is JITC and other security clearances to corporate, higher education, and other folks?
If you want to work with companies like the one I recently departed, you better be on them or have them. And here in the DC area, even just some of your corporate gigs require compliance to a lot of these things. JITC is one thing we've talked about. I've talked about JITC at least the past 15, 20 years. The DoDIN APL, which is what the whole article is about, Extron getting on, that was new to me at this last job, getting familiarized with that. It is so vital. And despite that big long list of companies that Tim mentioned, a product from this company is on the DoDIN APL, and these 4 products from this other. I mean, it is not a big list. It severely limits our options when you're an integrator or an internal consultant for one of these large defense, aerospace, government, or military agencies. If you can't pick something from that list, you can't use it in many cases. So it's so important. Now, one thing. I'm looking at you, Extron, and I'm looking at you, everybody else that's a manufacturer watching this. I went to the line after we got this article and looked at all the products in the line that just got added to the APL, and kudos on you. Again, good job putting it on the APL. All of them have HDMI. None of them have DisplayPort. Fun fact, some researchers discovered that the ends of HDMI cables can emit or leak signal. And so on the most stringent closed requirements from the government, both the DoDIN APL, AV7 for video, and a number of the other certifications and things that y'all don't really need to know about if you're not doing it every day, we can't use it if it has HDMI. It has to have DisplayPort. And I know everyone phased that out. That's old technology. But within the government space, within the secure space, it's coming back, and it's coming back hard. So kudos getting it on the list. Kudos if you can keep it on the list. Those of you not on the list, get it. And also put that DisplayPort option, because your integrators and consultants and end users in those spaces will love you for it, and you will get business from it. I can tell you that.
Is it you have to have you have to have DisplayPort, or you can't have HDMI? Like, could you have both and it be okay, or? You
can have both, but we cannot use that HDMI in the room. So it's apparently the cables themselves. And I'd have to dig back through the research paper. It was some little outfit in Europe, some university discovered it, and then it was replicated. And then there's a few other studies and papers about it. For like the most stringent cybersecurity, you can't have it. So, you can keep the HDMI port for like normal people, but give us that option to use DisplayPort where we cannot use HDMI.
AV for the normies, got it. Dr. Way, when you look at this from a higher education standpoint, yes, there are a number of higher education facilities that do work with the government. I have no knowledge, and I'm not going to ask you that specifically for UCLA. But when you look at this list, does this do anything for you when it comes to speccing products, or you're like, okay, that's cute for the DoD and the alphabet corporations, but it doesn't do anything for me in higher education when it comes to my classrooms?
Okay, well, let me give you a couple of answers. Yes and no. Well, first off, Don just gave us all the education that really just fills this whole episode out.
Yes,
so
we can all
I have
go
no
home now.
idea. I have no idea what I'm going to add to this conversation. Okay, but that being said,
but you're going to give it the good college try that you are.
I absolutely am. So here's the thing: when you added a little word at the end, you said in your classrooms. I normally wouldn't care, in truth, right? Like, and we as tech managers, it's nothing we end up talking about and making a requirement. But now in my new role, and I sit and I look at AV across an entire enterprise that happens to include planning for LA28 Olympics, and we're working on a real-time safety security center, and all of a sudden you find out that you have secret service requirements you have to now be able to do because they're the ones who actually guard Olympic Village. Now I'm looking at things differently as we're getting in these meetings very, very early and all of that, just very early. But as we're sitting in there, I'm going, oh, there's a whole lot more to this than most people think. And so I'm still getting educated on it. So I thank Don for my PhD just now in what to start thinking about. But I think the answer is yes. And what's interesting, and some takeaways that I've gotten in the short time that I'm in these meetings, where security is the very first and foremost thing, especially when we're having to think about there's going to be military around, right? President's going to probably come and swing through Olympic Village at some point, boom, right? That it's actually easier to do these than you think. You just have to know to look at the product line. You have to know to go, okay, this is a priority that we're going to start with, and everything else can fill it out. And to echo what Don said, as you start looking at the manufacturers, you're going, I don't actually have to change a lot. I have to maybe do it a little bit differently, but I don't necessarily have to change a lot. And so I know that even going forward now, to finally answer your question, for our classrooms, I'm going to make it a requirement because I don't know what might ever happen in the future. Okay. Right? And if it doesn't really take that much more, and maybe, it can be at least a turn it on, turn it off, not go over the top. But yeah, so I will land on yes. I'll take away the no and land on yes.
We talked about classrooms there, and we talked about getting ready for the Olympics, but how many big universities, especially the science universities, have research labs? And there's a great big one right here in the Baltimore, D.C. area. I can say their name, Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab. And they do military and government contract work all the time. I'm not even sure at this point if they're still affiliated with the university or the hospital of Johns Hopkins, but they sort of fall all under that umbrella. So I'm sure MIT, I'm sure Stanford, I'm sure probably UCLA and USC and any university you can name, if they've got a decent science program and a whole bunch of nerds, they're doing some research. And that research sometimes has government and military applications, and that's where you're going to want this stuff.
It's funny. I was at a trade show this week. I know, shocker to everybody that's listening to this. Had nothing to do with AV. It was here in St. Louis. It was called Supercomputing. the supercomputing trade show. I was talking to Joe about this off the air before we started. Darn near every major university you could think of was there talking about their quantum computing and their AI data centers. There's a government agency somewhere interested in the U of I's and Mizzou's and University of Texas and Maryland's, Dawn. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Dan, looking at this list, Atlas has BAA and TAA compliance. Now, BAA is made in the USA and TAA is made in a friendly country compliance. How difficult is it from a manufacturer standpoint to, I'm not going to say, I want to say deal with the government, but that has a negative connotation. Work with the government. How about that? Work with the government in some of these certifications and making sure that your products are up to their standards.
It's a pretty tough environment. When you really think about, all of the things that are being considered, when you first look at the product, it starts with the complexity of what the product is. 20 years ago when I first got into this industry, it was, can you make a speaker in the U.S.? Well, you can, and the government's going to be the only one that pays for that speaker. That's why a vast majority of speakers are made internationally. But that's also why we've invested in our production facilities here. When you get into much more complex products, that includes network and display ports and CPUs, microcontrollers, everything that now goes into your standard, not only DSP, but your network interface, and also PoE products. This is much more of an issue. It is, where are you getting your microchips from? What are they? You got to go through this entire list of items and check them off that, okay, it's not from this manufacturer or it's from this manufacturer. You're getting it from this location, but not that location, right? It's a lot to go through this. But because that is such, rare air in terms of who's actually doing this, it can be worth it. And it's one of the reasons why not only have we invested in our loudspeaker production and those capabilities, we do make loudspeakers here in the U.S., but we're also investing in our electronics productions to do those sorts of things, right? And so because we do see this world of security becoming more and more important for us, the AV world, the old AV world, is caught between the IT people and the security people. They're getting squeezed out, right? And you see instances like this where that's going to be a good thing. We now have. I was just talking to someone earlier today about this. The audio consultants that quite frankly, I came from. Those really aren't existing anymore. They are going to be technology generalists, right? And so this world has evolved, and that's a good thing. But at the same time, the issues, the problems that those technology gurus are now having to deal with are vastly different. The interconnectivity of all these products, the security side of things. This is introducing, especially to some of the more traditional audio manufacturers of the world, this is a different beast that they're now learning to deal with. Some are well ahead of the ball, some are not, and that's where there's opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that those that are not are going to be hurting here in a bit. So,
absolutely.
All right, our next story comes to us from AV Magazine. Ricoh and Neat have entered into a global partnership in which Ricoh will integrate Neat's advanced audiovisual technologies, including the Neat board and the Neat bar, into its own global AV managed service offering. Pause for a second here. If you did not realize that Ricoh, the copier people, are involved in AV, go back and listen to AVWeek. Good Lord, 5 or 6 years ago, because they bought they purchased an integration firm, I believe, out of Germany, 5 or 6 years ago, and they have been involved in the industry a very, very long time. Under the agreement, which sits at the quote-unquote mastery tier of Neat's global partner program, Neat brings in its AI-driven modular architecture for video collaboration, while Ricoh brings its worldwide service footprint and AVMS, which stands for Audio Visual Managed Service Capabilities. Mr. Way, we'll start with you on this. Simple question. What are you looking for in a managed services? And are you looking for it from an integrator, or is it something that you are home rolling yourself?
Well, you asked that question because you know the answer. We do it ourselves. But that said, absolutely. Obviously, I've taken down my AV as a service must die flag. I've moved over to the other side. And again, good reasons. Everyone can jump on another call and tell you why. But I think managed services are so important moving forward, right? Just being able to kind of have that enterprise look and understanding of what's going on within, our enterprises is hugely important. I think that any product can't go out there without having some tool for my team to not have to use SneakerNet of some sort to be able to get the support at a global level, especially like at us. I mean, we have multiple campuses around LA. I can't put something in where I don't have some type of managed service. Yes, can we as an end user do some of it in-house? Absolutely. I have an incredible team of people that are a lot smarter than me who can do that. But I think that was one of those things that in higher ed, if I talk to my peers now, we are moving in the direction of, if you don't offer some sort of managed service that can be tied to your product, ideally have multiple ways it can be done, work with many different managed services or be an open architecture, all that, you are probably not going to get an enterprise deployment. One-offs, maybe, not enterprise. So 100% important.
All right, Dan, from a manufacturer standpoint, what can you guys do to help, first of all, integrators and then the end users facilitate that sort of service, right? What sort of APIs and hooks can you give into, whether that is support software, it is back-end remote management, it is monitoring, it is reporting. What sort of things do you guys have to do from a manufacturing standpoint to make sure that Joe gets what he needs?
Yeah, it really is looking at this market from an aspect of how do we become the best partners for our customers, and where is it that they can grow for their customers, right? And so bringing this idea of managed services together is going to be really important. And so that's why there's groups like Excite in the world that can bring all of these different systems together. Back in my QSYS days, that was their main focus as well, trying to deliver those sorts of solutions. But really, the way that I like to look at this is evening the playing field, right? Not every group in the world can afford an enterprise type solution, but they need that level of service, right? And so how do you do that? There are now multiple ways of doing it. In just the past few years, you've seen a lot of people show up with these sorts of services. And I think that's going to become more and more important as, this industry, in some ways shrink, but also in other ways grows, where it becomes more network focused, more endpoint focused. And how do you get, to see, well, if there's something wrong with your system, whether that's a light bulb went out on a projector to a speaker not working, just 10 years ago, those projector manufacturers could easily tell you how many hours are on a light bulb.
Yep.
They couldn't. The audio manufacturers largely couldn't tell you that, right? No. And that's a problem, because you want a continually, you want a deployment that is the same whether you're a facility in Newark, New Jersey, or Davenport, Iowa. You want that experience for your customers to be the same. And this is what it delivers. It's just about how you scale this sort of thing. So as a manufacturer, you're constantly thinking about, well, for that customer in the middle of Iowa, how can I give them what they're looking for so that service for my customer is the same no matter where they are and where we're selling that solution.
I have used this story before, and I will use it until I retire. My buddy Scott Tyner, who is not the middle of Iowa, the middle of Maine, which I would argue is probably just as remote. He was the first person I ever knew that was using data to drive their decisions. And it was looking at everything as simple as, now again, this is 15, 20 years ago, how often a professor was pushing the VCR button, right? And he would go back the following semester or once a year and go, okay, we're getting rid of the VCRs because all y'all ain't using them. And I know that because you're not pushing the button, right? And so giving his team the data to make those decisions, I think is incredibly valuable. Dawn, when it comes to that, what sort of information do you need back? What sort of data that you need back to make those qualified decisions?
So the kind of snarky answer is all of it.
Okay.
I mean, we need status so we can, do the constant monitoring. We need metrics on usage. We need just literally as much data of your machine or your product that you can put in your API. It's called a robust API, and the folks that write these kinds of softwares and platforms love a robust API. The better you are. Can you control it through your API? Can, what sorts of numbers are you giving us? Can you do live alerts about different states? Not just problems, but just states. Hey, what input is that TV on at the end of the day? And can we tell it it's supposed to be on input 1, so at a certain time it just automatically goes back to it? All of those sorts of little nuggets of info can be distilled by a good platform into something usable. And even if you put all the metrics in the world in your API and your platform, be it Neat and Rico or any of the other number of the ones in our field, and there's a ton, they can take that pile of data. Every end user is going to use it a little different. Some people only want to know, is it working? Is it not working? Some people want to have a little more macro control over their rooms and products.
Yep.
Some of them want like micro detailed control and the ability to individually switch rooms or what have you. And, the ability to pull in end user or the integrators. So I was recently, as you know, in a government setting. We could not do a cloud deployment of any kind of monitoring or maintenance. So your QSys and your Rico and your individual flavors developed by the integrators, all of them, no. But we were in the process of putting in an on-prem solution. The on-prem solution by an external vendor would give us all that same info, send it to a central dashboard that the AV team as a whole could look at, and then we could set it up and parse it out to this building or that site or that state or that whoever. And then you can put your integrators and your actual fixers on the list to get the alerts when things are done. And you can set up your tiers of support and set up an SLA. And all of these things that come from the world of IT that are more and more important in the world of AV can be pulled and parsed out of those APIs on the products through this platform in the cloud or on-prem in our case, and then deployed successfully. So give it to us all. That's why God made computers. It can sort through the pile of data and pull out what we need. We don't need to sit there and figure it out ourselves. We just need to know how to tell the computer to get it from the other computer. That's all. Let the computers talk to each other and work it out.
Don, as someone who has specified a lot of network products over my career, I am constantly telling our engineers, if there's a piece of data that we can report, share it in the API. Whether that's a temperature at a certain heat junction, and those APIs go into so many different things, especially as a manufacturer. Not only is it, for, just letting you know about very broad topics of is this product, is this on or off, it's also for troubleshooting of, oh, that product is getting really warm, but only certain parts of that product. You can get a whole lot of information. And by the way, all of that information is going to be used a lot more. And that's, I think, where manufacturers had trouble just several years ago, or just a handful of years ago, really, is, well, why are we sharing so much data? What is that data really necessary? And how is it going to be used? The answer that the engineers didn't like was, well, I'm not sure how everyone's going to use it, but they're going to use it. And actually, in the future, they're going to use it more and more. So the more that we can provide the better off our customers will be in the long run.
There is another part to that too, because I totally agree. But going back to what Tim was saying, I'm going to guarantee you there are only a handful of us in higher ed who actually use the data to make decisions. Everyone says they do. Oh, we have the data. But do you really use it to make the decision, or do you cherry pick it to make the point you want to make? See? So I totally agree with you, Dan. Give us everything. But I'm very, very blessed where I'm at, having a great data intelligence team here who oversees all of that. But we need education for our tech managers to know how to use it, how to collect it, and make it mean something so we can make smart decisions, right? And so I think that's also the missing piece. There is so much data. And to the point where the average tech manager, too much and don't know how to do it. I know that the green light is on or the red light is on my monitoring tool, but that's not,
And what does that mean? What does red mean? What does green mean? Is that good?
Yes.
What is yellow? Actually, better yet, what does yellow mean? Green, I can guess it's good. Red, I can guess it's bad. What the freak does yellow mean?
Slow.
It means start prepping your resume. You don't need it yet.
Okay, 20 years ago, it means make sure that you're on projector.com and get your lamp ordered, because it ain't dead yet, but it's getting close.
So you're saying it's an alert. That's what you're saying.
But to the point of not knowing what people are using or using it for decision making, here's a dirty little secret now that I'm just coming off of the dark side where they have cookies as an end user. Sometimes all that data is not for us in the AV industry. It is for the head of your AV team or your site team to navigate corporate bureaucracy. The following statement may or may not be based in reality, but when you're dealing with a board of executives and a board of purchasing people and a board of penny pinchers, and you have to justify your existence in a ridiculously large budget, but you really need this amount of money, if you can come to them with specific metrics showing, yes, I need that amount of money, you have a much better chance, not guaranteed, of actually getting that money. And so sometimes those metrics aren't even for us. It's for our ability to exist in a corporate bureaucratic entity.
Don, that was an awful lot of caveats there. I just want to point that out.
Hey, CYA, man, CYA.
Well, thank you all so much. Dawn Mead, how do people connect with you if they are so inclined, or if they would like to hire your fantastic services?
You can find me on all of the socials at AVDawn or Dawn Mead, MEADE, just like the fort. As Tim said, I am just today ending my first full week of less than employment. Thank you to a RIF. So if you're looking for someone with great experience and great reviews, even at the most recent job, but just a victim of the economy, I am happy to help you and to talk to you. So reach out. Dawn at AVDawn is my email, and I'm on the LinkedIn.
All right, very good. Dr. Way, thank you, sir. How do people connect with you? How do they find out all the fantastic things you're doing? And how do they listen to your dulcet tones on your own podcast?
Well, you can find me at Josiah Way on all of the socials. Of course, Higher Ed AV Podcast. Go find it anywhere you find your podcasts. And of course, you can always find me at TimAlbrightFanClub.com.
Wait, I want to join that.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, we may have jumped the shark there, kids. Dan, thank you so much. How do people connect with you or Atlas IED?
You can find me at my first name, last name at atlasIED.com or atlas.com, dan.signs at atlas.com. Or you can find me at LinkedIn. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me these days.
All right, very good. My name is Tim Albright. Don't follow me. I have started saying this. If you want to read stuff that I write that has nothing to do with technology or very little to do with technology, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Find things like talking about trade shows or just kind of betterment and stuff like that. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. But go by the website, if you would, please, AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. You will find this program and a host of others where we already have a brand new ed tech where Erin Mayer Moran and her guest give, quote unquote, hot takes on higher ed. That's at least what Mitchell said. So hot takes on higher ed. I think that'll be very interesting. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're done looking at my big dumb face, you can go listen to us on wherever you get your podcast. And if you're listening to us and you want to see what these fine folks look like, you can watch us on the YouTubes. Either way, go the opposite direction. But first, go by the website, avnation.tv. It's avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That's all the time we have for AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
This is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is Erin Marmoran of EdTech. The world of higher ed AV is growing rapidly. That's why each month we hear from the best and brightest from colleges and universities all over the U.S. Check out EdTech on avnation.tv or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.